Morgan Thomas, great to get you on the
Thank
podcast.
you.
My first ever guest.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad to be the first person that can come on your show. Everyone else that follows has got a big shoe to fill, I guess.
Well, everyone else said no, so
I understand.
perhaps you'd like to just introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Morgan. I've been in Dubai now for about 3.5, 4 years. And since I've been here, I've been a real estate agent. I think that's the general crux of what this discussion is going to all be about. So yeah, I've been in real estate pretty much since day one that I've been officially living in Dubai. During my tenure as a real estate agent, I've done pretty much everything that you can do real estate. That includes leasing, that includes sales, that includes off-plan, dabbled into property management, dabbled into short-term rentals. So I should have the whole shebang, let's call it, of real estate experience that comes about. Is there anything else you want me to add to that?
No, I just... So who did you start when you first came over?
So I started with a big company. I started with a company called Allsopp and Allsop. I'm sure most of your guests probably have heard of them. I have nothing but respect for that company, by the way. I don't work for them now anymore, but it was a great place to start my career. They're a big branded name. They were very helpful. They were the ones that kickstarted my career in Dubai, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities they gave me, because what they gave me has now put me in a position where I am now, where in turn I've then gone and bettered my career. So
Absolutely.
I'm incredibly blessed and grateful to have started my tenure with them, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm aware that they do recruitment in the UK, don't they? Was
Yeah.
that where did you go to an open day that they did, or
No,
did you do a
I
Zoom
didn't.
call? Or
No, well, but basically it's a little bit of a funny story as to how I actually ended up working there. So at the two jobs I had before I became a real estate agent in Dubai, I used to work for a hire car firm in the UK. And with the hire car firm, there was a part that we used to offer. It used to be called the pickups and ride backs. What that involved is that if, for example, you were hiring a car, you used to go and pick the customer up, bring them back to the office, they would sign the paperwork and off they would go. I had a client there who, when I went to pick up, I didn't know anything about this guy. I go and pick him up, and him and his wife actually, and we're speaking, and I said, well, "What do you do? Like, what's your day to day?" Because I've gone and picked this guy up from quite a bourgeois, bougie house, right? And I just said, "What do you do?" And he said, "You know something? I do real estate." Mm-hmm. Okay, fine, fair enough. Bearing in mind at this point, my horizons were pretty closed in. I didn't even think of Dubai. Maybe I thought, maybe he does. It was in the New Forest in the south of the UK. I thought, maybe he was did real estate in New Forest, maybe London, anything like that. He said, no, I do it in Dubai.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, interesting. At this point, I think, oh wow, Mr. Big Shot here. He does real estate in Dubai. Anyway, I got talking to him, and I thought, maybe that could be something of interest. I'd always wanted to do something with property. I always wanted to do something with real estate. So I made a commitment to myself that I was going to go and get a job in the UK to be an estate agent, so I could get a year's worth of experience. And I thought, okay, once I've got this year's worth of experience, then where potentially do I go after that? I was thinking, is it London? Then kind of Dubai opened on the horizons, because I'd actually, in November 19, actually, for the first time I came to the UAE, we came on a family holiday to Abu Dhabi. Mm-hmm. And I was looking there as well, because I saw there was loads of adverts at the time when we were there looking for real estate brokers. But I thought, no, you know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to get some UK experience, because I want to come wherever it was. If it was London, if it was to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, wherever, I wanted to come with a little bit of experience behind me, because I didn't have any. I had done sales because my previous job had entailed a sales role, but not when it came down to real estate. So I thought, okay, let's give it a go. I'm going to kind of keep in mind that I will get some experience. I've worked quite a heavy job. This was quite a tough job that I used to do. We were working 60 hours a week quite consistently. And I did it for 3 months. And then at the end of my 3 months, COVID hit. And as a result, that was it.
Right.
Terminated. So I'd done, let's call it 8-9 weeks at this point doing this job.
And was this in Bournemouth?
Just outside of, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was getting quite comfortable. Like it took me a little while to get used to things, because I'd gone from like a super fast, busy paced job, something that was a little bit more structured to your 9 to 5, Monday to Friday gig. So it was taking a little bit of time to adjust, but I was slowly getting it. And then, COVID hit. And I was made redundant. And I remember I went home after I was laid off, and I'm just sat there thinking, I've gone from 4 months ago running a multi-million-dollar car dealership effectively to doing something I've always wanted to do to now being laid off. And I'm thinking, really? Is this it? Is this really how 2020 is going to start? Yeah. I mean, look, at the time, no one had a clue, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I can't just sit here and do nothing. I was thinking, do I set my own business up? But what if I set my own business up? What do I do? I don't know. I was thinking, oh, I should go and set my own estate agency up. I was thinking of, I remember we went on a walk with my parents and were like, what should we name it? What should we do it? And I was like, no, I've done it for 8 weeks. I can't go in from a job that I barely know to be
I think you've got the confidence you could have pulled that off.
I don't think so. It's not having the confidence, about having the ability.
Sure.
You can wing certain things, but you can only, you're cut at a certain point. I thought, no, I'm maybe in the future, but not right now. And then I went on Indeed, and for those who don't know, Indeed is a platform in the UK where you get jobs. It's a job portal, pretty much. Yeah. And there was 2 jobs. I searched in sales jobs, estate agent jobs. There was 2 jobs that came up, and one was in Dubai. And I thought, I was reading through the description at the time. I was like, I don't meet any of these, but I thought, well, I don't have anything to lose at this point, nothing. And at the bottom of the advert said, if you don't hear back from us in 2 weeks, then consider your application unsuccessful. And I thought, okay, well, I have nothing to lose. And it went past the 2 weeks, I didn't hear anything off it. So I thought, well, it is what it is. And I remember it was a random Sunday, literally at the start of April 2020. I had an email that came through from the recruitment team from Allsopp. And they said, oh, we'd like to interview you. I'm like, okay. I was like, why? I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. There was a few stages of the interviews that they had, very thorough, and went through it, and they offered me the job. And I'm like, right, okay, we're going to Dubai.
Wow.
Off to Dubai we go.
Yeah.
And then that's when I came across. I came across to Dubai, and I've pretty much been here.
You came on your own, just a flight
just
from
me, myself, and I.
Heathrow to...
Literally, I booked a one-way ticket. I had a hotel that was booked. That was it. I had a car that was booked as well. I'd ordered a car to come about a week or so after I came, but that was it. I literally bought my suitcases, and then the first day I got here, I was jet lagged because I took the night flight. I didn't sleep because obviously you're kind of like, you're a little bit angsty. Like, you're moving 3,500 miles away from home. I didn't know anybody here. No, initially I didn't know a single person. Well, no, I did. I knew the guy who said he was a real estate broker, but I knew him as a business transaction. I didn't know him in person. I couldn't go and say, hey, you might remember me from a year ago, but hey, can I hit you up? No, it wasn't ever going to come forward like that. And so I'm in this foreign city. I'm tired. I'm there like, I've made the worst decision of my life.
God.
That was coming up, 3.5, 4 years ago now. And it's been ups and downs, but I'm still here.
Had you, because you visited Abu Dhabi, had you been down to Dubai?
I had, We had visited Dubai whilst we were on the trip, And Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Dubai is very busy. Like, it's very. Even like 4 or 5 years ago now, Dubai was very busy. It's gotten busier, but there was a lot
Abu Dhabi's more laid back.
It's a nice place. Don't get me wrong, but Dubai is, I think,
more for the family holiday sort of.
It's more like a nice weekend away. It's a nice weekend away kind of place. So that's my journey as to how I got to Dubai, and that's
a good story. So you started with Allsopp and Allsop, and you trained with them. How long was the training?
Oh, I don't remember. Sorry, everyone there. I don't remember. It was.
But you had some training.
3 to 4 days. 3 to 4 days. It was something like that. Yeah, they did training. It's impossible to get someone to come all the way from the UK and say, hey, by the way, welcome to the office. Good luck. Like, it's impossible to do it, because then it's insane. So
And how long? So you were with them for what, a year or so?
Just shy of 2 years.
Just shy of 2 years.
Just shy of 2 years.
And who are you with now?
I work with Edwards and Towers. So where I'm based, so we've got 3 offices. So we've got the main one, which is in the Marina Plaza office. We've got one on Golden Mile on the Palm Jumeirah, and then we've got our boutique shop, which is in Jumeirah Golf Estates in the Centro Alandlis Mall.
Good. Yeah. Brilliant. I was out here 2004 to 2007. And then I've come back relatively recently. But I was aware of Edwards and Towers then. They were quite a big
20
name.
years. 20 years. Our ORN number is 193. And for those who might not know what that is, that means that the company is one of the most established, period. Doesn't mean necessarily in real estate. So it's, as a brand, it's got a solid. Mark and Dave, who were the founders of the company, were selling Palm Jumeirah off plan.
Right.
Like, they were selling brand new properties on that kilo. Imagine if you bought those
successfully.
Well, of course, but even diversity for that. Imagine those people who bought off plan and the kilo at that time. They would have made a lot more money now.
And prices have shot. Well, they've been volatile, haven't they?
Oh, of course, that's the markets generally. It's not linear. The markets go up. It's basic economics. What goes up comes down, right?
And are they both with the company now?
Still with the company.
Still
with the company. Right. Mark's the CEO, and Dave does the holiday homes. He does the short-term division.
Great. So you worked for them in sales initially?
Yeah, well, no, with the company there, I did everything with Edwards and Towers, basically. I did sales, I did lease, and we did off. We did everything. We still do everything. And for the new recruits or anyone that comes and joins in the company, it's a pro and a con, because some people say, you should just start in leasing, or you should just start in sales or whatever. We as a company let everyone do everything.
That's great.
And the reason being, and it's subjective because, as I said, there are pros and cons, is it gives people, I think, more opportunity to start with. But the caveat to that is it gives you more opportunity if you're financially savvy and financially able to afford it. If I can explain that, what I mean by that is a lot of the arguments to coming into leasing in particular is leasing's quick. Is that you can get a listing provided that something comes on at a good pace. I'll give you a prime example, right? I literally took an apartment on in Green Community on Sunday, just gone. Listed it at 4 p.m. and I was sat in the office with Rowena, who's our admin assistant. We put it on at 4 o'clock. 10 past 4, we get an inquiry, and we had 20 inquiries in 36 hours. Right? Yeah. Rented it asking price. Okay. So if you get it right and you market
the market's
right,
going crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But what the subtext for that is that you can do deals quickly when you're a rental broker. So the whole point is that you can pull in money quite quickly if you do, let's say 4 or 5 a month, for example. I'm sure you can probably do more. But if you do that, you pull the money in. So it means that you're financially stable, but you can survive. Because consistency with this job, I've been telling all our new trainers this, consistency with this job is king. That's all I've got to say with this one. So coming back to why leasing could be important. So you get money so you can just survive. So I tell our guys, look, you can do whatever you want. We don't have you in a straitjacket here, so you can only do this bit. You can only do this bit. You will get an allocated area because it's impossible to chase too many rabbits.
Yep.
Right? It's best that you specialize.
Get to know that area.
Yeah, it's best you specialize wherever that is. Downtown, Business Bay, Arabian Ranches, Green Community, whatever. There's a lot of things that you could possibly do. But what we say is that be sensible about it. If you know that your funds aren't as generous, let's say, as they could be, then obviously stick to the things that are going to make you money more. Yeah. Or quicker, rather. Yeah. So it is important to be financially...
And in that case, it's the leasing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big reason why the bigger companies in particular prefer it, because they want to, of course, who wouldn't? They want to make sure their numbers stay.
Yeah.
But we try and give people the option, but we advise.
Because some companies, if you're in leasing, that's it, isn't it? And if you've got a sale, a potential sale, you've got to pass that on to another agent. Yeah, that's right. What you're saying with Edwards and Towers is each agent can handle everything.
We in our training programs, we have an 8-day training program we put forward. We cover everything. So day 2, 3, and 4. Day 2 is rentals. Day 3 is sales. Day 4 is off plan. So that they know as much as they can do. Because look, even if they choose to say, you know what, I don't really fancy doing off plan necessarily right now, or I don't fancy doing sales, whatever, at least they have the knowledge behind it. Having the knowledge is important, I would say, personally.
Sure. And you're actually involved with the training of this, as well as doing sales and, as you described, leasing yourself.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've had to scale back my sale and leasing a little bit because it's impossible to do a good enough job with both roles. So we started doing a training program from the start of November. So we did a very light training program because I think that was one area that our company was missing. And I think the guys at Edwards and Towers.
So there wasn't training as such as you're giving now prior to
we never used to take on new brokers for that reason. The reason we never took...
So you just took on experienced
brokers. E&T used to only take on experienced brokers because it made sense of what the company was looking to do at the time.
Sure.
But in order to get bigger and to grow, you need to be able to take people that are brand new and then let them grow with the company. So it was all very well and good. I think Mark and co realized that it wasn't a sustainable model what was going on. So it was like, right, you want to bring people into the company. So what is a UPS, a unique point of sale for a broker who might have already worked as a broker in Dubai, or maybe they're brand new to the country, or maybe they've been in Dubai for a little while and fancy the career change? What can we add in terms of value as a company to these people that will be like, yeah, you know what, I really feel trusted at Edwards and Towers. And we've put together this training program. So the official training program started in January this year. So the first Monday of January, the second working Monday of January, because January 1st was a Monday. Whenever that was, we introduced the new program that came forward and, as said, included a welcome to the business, how to do your job. So that includes leasing, sales, off-plan, social media, the power and presence of now being online in some way, shape or form.
Sure.
Learning your area, knowing the small bits of the business and what that constitutes as is property management, is holiday homes, is mortgages, is anything else that could come connected that's not like the main direct part of a broker. It's the side thing that a broker does. And then being able to, with confidence, reach out and make connections across Dubai. So that is connecting with landlords. That's then subsequently connecting with buyers and tenants. That's everything that one possibly can think of with that one.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, it's a reflection on your career that they moved you up to that level pretty quickly, really.
Reasonably.
And I know you've touched on a few things with regard to why you've been successful or why Edwards and Towers have been successful. But obviously we know that the majority of agents that come over here don't succeed and end up going home or looking for another career in Dubai. Are there any other points you can think of?
2. It's not an absolute because it does depend person to person, but I think the reason why you see some people not succeed usually is lack of patience, because it's a byproduct again of our world. We live in a dopamine infested world. You pull up your phone, Instagram. Yeah. You pull up your phone, especially in Dubai, Talabat, Deliveroo. You can get food delivered to you very fast.
Everything's instant, isn't it?
But this is what I've been telling our new trainees: patience. But it's very hard to convey patience in a very, very busy and quick world, because it is a relationship building game. That's what it is. I think firstly, going back is a lack of patience. And if I can touch on that again with that, is that as a prime example, I've been speaking to an owner in Green Community. He has a townhouse that he's owned for probably coming up 20 years. And he has this townhouse which is there, and he's owned it pretty much since day one. And I've been in touch with him probably since the start of 2021. I'm not selling. I added value. I kept going. I kept sending him marketing reports. I get a call from him last August. Said, look, Morgan, start of 24, we want to sell. Our priorities in life have changed. We want to release the capital, blah, blah. Okay. Coming back to the start bit, patience, because I was perseverant with this guy. I knew when I came to Dubai that this wasn't let's stay for 6 months, let's stay for a year, hope for the best and go. This was, okay, let's have a 5-year career plan here. Yeah. Can we make sure that this works? So it comes back down to this at the start, patience, because I knew that I would have to play patience with this, because coming back to some experience in the UK in particular, there's a lot of people who have owned property in the UK because the ownership amount of time in Dubai is a lot shorter. But in the UK, people would own their properties for 50, 60 years.
Yeah, so it's good for agents.
Yeah, well, it means at this point here is you just know you have to add value in the gap between them buying and then eventually reselling. So patience is key. And again, secondly, I think overall lack of training, or lack of substance that comes in training. And I think now, having done this role, because I was naive about this, I didn't really think a lot about training until I've started doing it.
That's when you will start thinking
about it, and it's more
also
the fact that, like, when I dived into, bearing in mind, to have done the training, I've had to study myself to be able to put a training program together. I'm like, you know something, I could have or should have probably done this myself. And that's, I think it's the power of knowing that you just have to keep on top of your game and know what you are doing at all given points. And I think it's a combination of lack of patience and a lack of probably information or how to connect with people properly that is a driver as to why people give up so quickly. Yeah. It's not, I mean, there are some people who have come in and they've done very well straight away, but it's not a secret that the industry out here is quite high turnover.
Yeah.
No matter how good your recruitment process is. We do our best to make sure we get as quality candidates we can. I'm sure pretty much everyone else does.
Well, I presume you're still taking on experienced agents
of course. Well. Yeah, of course, 100%. But we're diversifying a little bit more. I think our retention rate's near enough 100%. Since like, let's call it November. We've had in 4 months we've done well on this one because we've not hidden what the truth of being a broker is. It is being patient. We will give you the tools that we need to give you to make sure that you can succeed. But it is your job then to execute that. You can only lead you so far. Have you heard the phrase, we can lead a horse to water, we can't make it drink? Sure. Prime example. But summing back to your question, patience and probably lack of training, I would say. And as a result of that, I think some people run out of money. Because we make sure for any new candidates, especially those who have come out of UAE, so from Europe, North America or whatever, they have significant funds behind them or sufficient funds behind them. Can you say
a sort of figure?
We advise people to take about 11 or 12,000 pounds equivalent of, which I think works about 50,000 dirham coming forward. It's important to make sure for the first 6 months you're covered because sales takes time. Right, the average sales length, if there's a mortgage to mortgage involved, so it's called finance to finance in the industry, takes 9 to 12 weeks to complete sometimes, at a worst case scenario, right? Yeah. if you get a few of them, you have to be able to survive 3 months, potentially, assuming you don't do anything in the meantime, without getting paid. And I think it's very important that, and we do this, we tell everyone that interviews us, look, this is the reality. I don't want people coming over with £1,000 in their pocket going, yeah, it's going to be like Wolf of Wall Street. I'm going to come in and in the first month, I'm going to make millions. You can, but it's a patience game.
So you set the expectations.
You have to. You have to. You don't have any choice.
You say you have to, but I don't think every real estate firm here does.
It's impossible for me to say. But if you're reputable, you should.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's a great answer. And patience, I totally agree with that. Yeah. And then have you been involved with off-plan sales or the primary markets also?
I dabbled in it in 22. That was my main focus in 2022. And I'll put my hands up. It wasn't something I was necessarily the best at. And I think at the time, and 2022 was actually off the cusp slightly, was a very interesting year for me because I had, you and I obviously have the connection of Green Community, right? That's how you and I met in the first place.
Was, yeah.
And that was where I was a specialist. So I was a leasing consultant.
Before I could get an offer in on a place, you'd already sold it.
Yeah, something like that. But it was more like I was a consultant in Green Community, and then the chance came to join the off-plan team where I was working as part of it. And I'll put my hands up. I wasn't the best at that. I don't necessarily know why it didn't really tick for me per se. Now looking back, I think it was more like I should have been more patient with it. I think I should have. Okay. I think
that's the advice you'd give yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was more like for me on a personal level. I think I didn't work too much before. I think I just lost a little bit of focus as to why I was doing what I was doing. So sorry to divert from your question slightly about the off-plan market, but yes, I have been involved with it, but not as well as I could have been involved with it. It's one of my big regrets, really, because there are a lot of money to be made, or is a lot of money to be made in the off-plan sector. It's not a secret. I mean, some of these developers, they offer 5% commission that comes forward on some of their deals, which is very, very good.
The commission levels are high, yeah.
Insane. There are some people I know who just survive purely off-plan, and that's great for them. It's about networking relationships. But yeah, the off-plan sector in Dubai is huge.
Yeah,
it's enormous. Yeah. There's cranes everywhere.
Well, it's very similar. The size of the markets, the primary and secondary market are similar, aren't they?
Yeah,
in terms
definitely.
Of if you go onto the DLD website, what's going through each month. But sometimes the way I look at it is if you've got a property that's where a vendor or a seller wants to sell now, they want to sell, so somebody's going to sell it. And somebody's going to buy it. With off-plan, you've got to persuade that person to buy it. Eventually, of course, it will be sold, but they could invest that money in a different country or in a different asset class, or there's a number of different areas.
There are some people, a majority of people actually, who have done very well off-plan sales, and I'll give you a prime example of that. Everyone who's in Dubai has probably heard of Talal Al Ghaf, right? Yeah. For those who aren't in Dubai, Talal Al Ghaf is a villa community that is effectively centered around a big lagoon. It's a very exciting project. It's a very, very exciting project. And there's a townhouse community in Talal Al Ghaf called Elan. And Elan was selling in 2020. People were taking a punt during COVID, by the way, because this launched pretty much straight after COVID. And people were like, oh, is the market going to crash? We don't know what's going on. And people were buying these townhouses. I think the 3-bedroom townhouse, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 3-bedroom townhouse was selling for about 1.3 million dirham. Their average sale price now is like high 2s, low 3s.
Yeah, great investment.
So these people who bought, took that risk, took a little bit of a gamble, done incredibly well out of off-plan. I know plenty of people who have bought off-plan properties, then as a result have done very well as having these off-plan properties.
So is it an area you might consider again in the future?
Talal's huge.
No, I mean, sorry, going into...
Oh, forgive me. It depends. I quite like doing what I'm doing. But I like the idea of being able to do off-plan. We teach off-plan. We encourage the guys to use it. Would I want to do off-plan solely on its own? No.
Yeah. And maybe it's an area where it's much better off to specialise, isn't it?
Potentially.
Because if you're not doing it solely, then you're obviously going to be at a disadvantage to an agent that is and knows an area, knows a developer.
Yeah, I think if you're doing off-plan, I think it's really important to be able to pick a certain bit, because when we were saying at the start, if you try and chase too many rabbits, you don't catch any.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's important to make sure that
focused.
Yeah, it's important to niche down, but it doesn't mean you have to abdicate your duty and not know any other areas or know any other products, because it's important to be able to cross sell where it's appropriate.
Yeah.
But specializing in a certain area, and this goes for secondary and leasing as well, very important, because if you know what you're selling, it makes your life 10x easier to do your job.
No,
of course it does.
Exactly,
you can't be, well, you can be the jack of all trades, but it just makes your life a lot harder.
But also not only cross-selling, when you're trying to persuade a buyer to buy in a certain area or a certain property, if you know about other areas and why they shouldn't buy there and why they should buy from you in this area, that helps as well.
It's all about relationship building. With Off-Plan, it's all about relationship building, because these people are trusting you, because effectively Off-Plan is you're selling sand to somebody.
Yeah.
So you are effectively giving someone a dream and convincing them to buy into the dream. That's how I would summarize what Off-Plan is.
Yeah,
it's very important to know the minute details about the Off-Plan project. It is very important to say and sit down with someone like you and I are now and say, what is your plans? What do you want out of this purchase? What is your end goal that comes out of this? Are you looking for a long-term investment? Are you looking for capital appreciation? Are you looking for something for yourself? I've been telling our guys in the training, you've got to dig.
Yeah.
You have to dig.
Get to know that buyer.
Get to know the person.
The investor.
KYC, know your client.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And then why, presumably you're quite bullish about Dubai moving forward over the next few years. Any tips there?
I'm bullish about Dubai for a few reasons. One is the golden visa change. That is huge. So just to summarize what golden visa is. Golden visa is a residency visa that anybody can get as long as they own, well, historically it used to be if they owned property that was cash bought above the value of 2 million dirham, which in pounds I think is about £400,000, US dollars about $550,000. Okay, that used to be if you had it cash. The land department and the state here have recently just changed it that now even if you have a mortgage on a property with the value of 2 million above, that you can now have a golden visa as a result of having a mortgage on that property. That is a game changer. Yeah. And the reason why I see that as a game changer, because now it means the average sales price, by the way, in Dubai at the moment across the board is 3.6 million dirham. Okay.
Yeah.
Means that the majority of people plus are now able to become residents of the UAE. It doesn't matter if it's here, it doesn't matter if it's in Abu Dhabi, they can be residents of the UAE, okay? Because a lot of people before, if they had a job and for whatever reason they didn't have the job, they had to leave the country. But now, if you have a golden visa, which is in your name, and you lose the job, etc., instead of leaving, they're now going to stay and try and find something else instead of potentially packing their bags up, leaving, and then never come back. Yeah. So that golden visa for real estate brokers is absolutely key because it opens the door, that one change alone, to potentially hundreds of thousands of people who are in Dubai already or now potentially thinking about being in Dubai to become residents of the country.
That's huge.
So it's a massive game change. So I'm bullish on that. And I'm also bullish in terms of this place is generally very easy to do business as well, because it's not a secret, it's a tax haven, right?
Yeah.
I don't pay tax on any income I make. They have a small corporate tax on companies. I think I'm not too endowed on this, but I think it's if you have profits above 1 million dirham, it's now 9% corporation tax.
Yeah.
But it's significantly more competitive when you go somewhere else. Take the UK, it's 20% sat at the minute, right?
Yeah.
So it financially makes a lot more sense to have a business that's in Dubai. So combine that with the fact it's now easy to get a residency visa here. It's incredibly easy to do business here. Look, you and me live here all the time, right? We're permanent residents of this city. This place is packed.
Yeah.
Like the streets are packed at the moment. When I came back, so I went away for Christmas and came back. I came back on the 30th of December, right? My flight landed about 1:30, 2 a.m. in the morning. The airport I've never seen an airport that busy anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
It was an hour-long line at 2 a.m.
Well, it is the world's busiest airport.
But it's irrelevant. Like literally, when I first came, it was COVID, so it wasn't really representative. But the few times that I've been traveling back and forth, it's not been that busy.
Okay. Yeah.
But now, all of a sudden, like this place is heaving.
Yeah.
This place is heaving. So ease of living, ease of doing business, and I think just generally it's a nice place to live. It's an easy place to live. It's safe. It's clean.
Sunshine helps as well.
Sunshine helps. Yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons to the weather here. We probably don't need to go into that too much, but it's just the ease of living. Like it's just a very easy place to live. So I'm bullish in that regard. I think they've got a 2040 plan here. They want the population to be 7 million
the urban master plan.
By 2040. I mean, what we sat on now, 3.5?
Yes, 3.6, I think.
Yeah.
But,
still.
Yeah. So what figure did you say? 24?
I think they're trying to get 7 million by 2040.
I think it's 7.8. I've just did up from 5.8.
Oh,
they just changed that.
Irrespective.
They'll get there easily.
Yeah, easily.
Because when I was here before, there were fewer than 1 million. And now we're at 3.6. So I think 7.8 is,
perfectly doable. Yeah. Perfectly doable. And the demand's here for it.
Yeah,
Why
absolutely.
Why not?
And you mentioned those golden visas. The way I see it, it's getting easier and easier and easier to get residency.
Yeah, definitely. Because sorry to interrupt, but beforehand, as said, it was the case if you ended a job for whatever reason, you had about 30 days to leave the country. Whereas now, if you have a golden visa that you are using, means you don't have to leave anymore. So that threat that people used to think of for the majority of people now no longer exists. Because all you need to have now is a mortgage to that value. And as I said, the average sales price in Dubai is 3.6 million. It therefore means that the majority of people who end up buying property will be able to qualify for that visa. Game changer.
Exactly. But of course, it means that others, if they're working or they've got a lower value property, they can still get a visa, but it's just not the 10-year one, so it's not quite as attractive. But
look, there is the investor visa. We should touch on that one. So just to expand for those who might not know, the investor visa in Dubai is if you buy a property of the value of 750,000 dirham up to 1.999 million dirham, it should get the investor visa, which is a 2-year visa as a result of purchasing the property. That one, as it stands...
And that came out first, didn't it?
That one came out first, I don't think they followed suit with the mortgages on that one. I think you have to own it cash still. But irrespective, I mean, it's still... An investor visa is still good because even if, let's say you don't even live in Dubai full time, it means that you still have residency here. It means you can still come back for the winter months. I mean, Europe in the winter is cold, it's wet, it's miserable. Whereas Dubai, when you and I were walking in here, it's like 26 degrees and sunny, right? It's February 16th as we're recording this? Yeah, great.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you can still, you can set yourself up as a Dubai resident, just to your point. You can still have 90 days in the UK and be, you're not affected by tax there.
Exactly.
But just going back to the 2040 Urban Master Plan, the fact that they've got that vision there is huge because it's something that they're aiming for, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas you look at the UK, and there'll be a general election, I think, this year, and it's just chaos. There's going to be arguing for months and months and months. There's no vision. There's no plan. The different political parties will come out with some sort of plan, but they'll never stick to it. Whereas we know here, these guys will stick to it.
Yeah.
When I was at the marina back in 2004, we were told it's going to be 20 years and the marina will more or less be finished. We're 20 years later, it's more or less finished.
Pretty much, yeah.
More or less, isn't it? Maybe a couple more buildings to go up.
I think political philosophy is a whole different podcast. I mean, it's an interesting time, especially in the UK at the minute, because of course, I don't know when the election's going to be. Likely October, I would think.
You probably know more than I do.
Potentially, I mean, look, you hear this. I mean, Rishi Sunak's going to stick it out as long as he can. Of course, I mean, why wouldn't he? But as said, I mean, in terms of like a long-term plan, it's nice to be able to see here that there is a long-term goal. There is what is it? So it's 16 years. 16 years from now that they plan to have X, Y, and Z in place.
Yeah.
So it's good to be able to say, because it's nice when you're planning things to be able to say, okay, well, look, this is the potential direction of travel. So I like that element. I would say I love the UK as well. I mean, it's home. It's home for you and me. I mean, it will always be home. But in terms of investments, for me, I prefer having my investments here because it's firstly quite easy to do. Secondly, I don't pay any tax. If I rent a property, I don't pay a penny in income tax on it, right? So financially, it makes a lot more sense.
I just can't see any reasons why UK property is going to do much over the next few years in terms of capital growth.
Well, I mean, the population there is still rising. So, I mean, that's...
It is, but it's not rising in percentage terms like this place.
No. I mean, percentage terms, no. I mean, the population in the UK is big. So, I mean, like, as a powerhouse, the UK will always remain just simply because of its population. So, I mean, it is slightly chalk and cheese with that one. And where am I more bullish in terms of opportunities? I'm more bullish here. For now, unless something comes up and fundamentally changes. Let's see how life goes, I guess. But I said for now, I'm still more bullish for Dubai. I think just for the whole GCC region. I mean, Saudi's coming up pretty quickly. I went to Oman a few years ago. Oman's great as well. Oman's really nice. Qatar have got the plans. Bahrain have got the plans as well. All like this general area.
And the other Emirates.
And the other Emirates. Abu Dhabi, Sharjah and all of that as well. Ras Al Khaimah. But Ras Al Khaimah is becoming quite interesting because they've been...
Prices have shot up there.
They've been granted the gaming license. I mean, the gaming license in this part of the world, like, no one would ever thought that was going to come. And now I think Dubai is pretty much following suit as well. There's that
inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. But Ras Al Khaimah, I mean, Ellington, the developers have gone up there. I mean, they've got a big project up there, and they're quite a reasonably respected brand. So, I mean, it shows confidence there. But, I mean, I'm more bullish, I think, on Dubai, because I think if you pull a map, most people will eventually get to know Ras Al Khaimah, but everyone knows Dubai.
I agree with you. It's already here in Dubai, isn't it?
Everyone knows Dubai.
It will probably happen. It almost certainly will happen there, but we know it's happened here, and it's already great, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So, sort of looking to wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to sort of cover before?
I would say just to pinpoint to people who they're possibly watching this podcast who might not be in Dubai at the minute. They're interested to see what they can do and how they become a real estate broker in this city. All I would say to them is you have to be perseverant, consistent, and the three traits for me that make a good broker is honesty, trust, and integrity. If you're the three of them, it makes your life easy, but make sure when you're coming, you're prepared to play the long game, you're prepared to be patient, keep training, even beyond the training session, keep enhancing your skills, and make sure that you are financially supported when you first come here, because you don't want to end your career early in Dubai because you just didn't plan enough. Yeah. So plan again, and be patient. Just because you see on the TV people driving around in these massive Ferraris and Bugattis and they're in these villas, they exist, of course, it's Dubai. You won't be doing that probably on day one.
No.
Patience is king. If I have to leave this podcast with one message, patience is king.
Great advice,
that is my advice that I would have.
Yeah, so. Definitely. And then also to consider using you to invest and coming to Edwards and Towers. Yeah,
100%. I've been here for a few years now in Dubai. I know the city fairly well, I like to think. Yeah. And Edwards and Towers, I mean, we as a company, we offer a very relaxed working environment. We're relaxed in terms of how we like to move forward. And I like that as an element. I think that's one thing that our company does above a lot of other companies is we just have that relaxed aura around us. The office is chilled. We offer a good training program. We want to make sure that everyone comes to work, they're happy and they're excited, and they love being part of the journey. And it's our job to facilitate that happens, and we will continue to make sure that happens.
Yeah, I think people watching this, just looking at you now, will be able to picture you doing that training. And
I hope so. I mean, you can see us all on the internet as well. By the way, I post quite frequently.
I was going to say, which socials are the best for people to go to?
For me personally, LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great tool. Twitter, I like Twitter as well. Actually, I do like Twitter. I know it's not. Everyone doesn't seem to use it as much potentially. But
Not here so much.
Yeah, it's more of an American thing. But I mean, like I love Twitter as well. But my main one is LinkedIn. And because it's just I have the most connections on there, I find the engagement significantly better on LinkedIn as well. So find me on LinkedIn. The company's on everything. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok as well now. That's Brilliant. An interesting phenomenon. It's a Gen Z thing, I think.
It's got to be done, isn't it?
I have had TikTok. I've used it, but I didn't really get accustomed to it. But look, it's just an up and modern thing, so I will probably get into the technology eventually. But LinkedIn for me.
And we'll put your number in the show notes as well.
Feel free. Yeah, anyone's welcome to drop me a line at any point. As I said, don't usually message after 10 p.m. Dubai time because I'm normally way.
I think that's reasonable enough. After 10
it's just I normally go to bed early. So if you want to message me like 6 a.m., that's cool. But not after 10. I fall asleep easy. So
yeah, you're a lark rather than an owl.
Pretty much, yeah.
Morgan, thanks very much.
Dave, thank you.
Great.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Cheers.